It's all Dirk Bale and Dirk Bale to race away.
Dirk Bale down the outside. Dirk's grabbed it. Outside dog grabbed by the barest, you'd think.
Dirk Bale, the Roberts charge going nicely. Dirk Bale.
Dirk Bale has got there.
Dinah Elwyn clear. Dinah Elwyn by 5. Dinah Elwyn 12 lengths in front's going to dash right away. It's a track record.
Dinah Elwyn's going to brain them big time.
Hello everyone and welcome into DogZone. It's on the countdown to another Group 1 as we are 3 days away or 2 days away from the heats of the Spion Rose and also the Group 2 Dash for Cash to be held at Wanganui on Friday night. Joining us as usual here on DogZone is Mark Rosanowski. Rozzo, start of the show there, two exceptional animals that unfortunately we may never see on a racetrack again.
It's very unfortunate, Andy, and the reason we're playing this is I say hi to you and to viewers as we build into another Group 1 here in New Zealand, this time in the Central Districts. Two greyhounds who we were hoping to see obviously on Friday night will not be there, succumbing to injuries at Addington last week. A former track record holder not that long ago, a dog with untapped potential. You had to think Dinah Elwyn, who ran faster than the New Zealand Cup winner on New Zealand Cup finals night, and Dirk Bale, a Group 1 winner of the Auckland Cup, but also far more versatile than certainly I gave him credit for anyway. Andy, I know you've been talking to Craig Roberts, and Craig over the last 12 months had some tough times with the demise of Ride Ain't Over and Alan Ablett's career-ending injury as well. And here's another couple. Now, you experience the extreme highs with these dogs, obviously, and you want those. But also with those extreme highs come the extreme lows when these things happen.
It's never ideal. Spoke to Craig on Monday. We'll touch on Dirk Bale first, and unfortunately he's damaged a wrist. He's got bone chips around his stopper, and it's impossible to operate on them and remove those bone chips. So unfortunately we won't see him again. Rozzo, probably one of the most underrated dogs going around in New Zealand. This fella, wasn't he? We always tended to kind of half forget him in the shadow of some of the better Bales that Craig had, but this is him winning the Group 1 Auckland Cup, and he was an absolute speed merchant.
Yes, he was, Andy, and this is a demolition really of a very strong field off an awkward draw. And outside of that, we saw two in that graphic there, won a couple of Group 2s on horseshoe tracks where you'd think maybe that wouldn't necessarily suit him, but he did that down at Invercargill and at Cambridge, just showing the versatility of the dog as well. Yes, he did it with his early speed, but to win feature races on vastly different tracks. Now, add to that, we're talking about the Spion Rose this week, of course. He was runner-up last year to his brother, Alan Ablett, in that. He made the Hattrick Classic final, formerly the Wellington Cup. He made the New Zealand Derby final. He was fourth, of course, in the New Zealand Cup at his second to last start. A dog who never broke 30 seconds at Addington, but because of the reliability of his opening split, which we highlighted during that Cup series, Dirk Bale able to win quite quickly, nearly 150,000. And of the Byrne brothers, Alan Ablett, Dirk Bale, they have finished. Avenger Bale to fly the flag now.
Dinah Elwyn, the other greyhound we are talking about. Now, this fella's unfortunately damaged a hock, and he's sort of 60-40, 70-30 to race again. That's unlikely, but there is half a chance for him. He's in a cast at the moment, and Craig hoping that there's the potential that that hock may come right enough, but obviously they're not going to risk him if it doesn't. And we only saw him 20 times, Rozzo. He won 11. He broke a track record at Addington Raceway, and he was just an absolute freak, really, wasn't he? He wasn't the quickest into stride, but that turn of foot he had once he hit the ground was second to none.
Yeah, he's got a brother, Dinah Dave, who'll be in the Spion Rose heats, and he's an exceptional talent too, of course, and Dinah Elwyn taking the record off that dog. What a remarkable few weeks it was down there at Addington Raceway. We're looking at two vastly different dogs, Andy, because Dirk Bale, of course, proven at the top level. Dinah Elwyn was a dog in waiting there. We were waiting for him to develop the full package that could make him effective at the top level. Of course, he looked a very real chance in the New Zealand Cup, but he was knocked out early. Some of his racing traits not ideal, but he would have developed with time and experience, you think. But what he had was that raw ability, and of course, several lengths faster than what Dirk Bale ever went at Addington Raceway. But he may not get the chance, obviously, to advance on that. Again, a great shame. Two dogs who would have added even further lustre to the Spion Rose series coming up. It's still going to be a cracking series, but a great shame for those two to be missing.
Also, the Craig Roberts team have a dog campaigning in Australia at the moment. We speak, of course, of Dinah Wesleyan. She was successful in her first start across the Tasman, and we're going to take you back to have a look at that now. Her last couple of starts just not going quite right for her. This is her in the green rug, and Rozzo, she was good on this occasion, but unfortunately since then she's just been a little bit below par.
Yeah, well, this is here at the Meadows, and maybe she just took to that track a wee bit better, but she certainly stayed in space here. I mean, even though she took her time to sort of work into the race, she never got crowded like she did in a couple of runs at Sandown. She was funny in her first trial at Sandown, and she never picked the jump there at the two crucial times, and she had box number 4 and she ran into trouble at the first bend. Now, Craig was disappointed at her lack of recovery there. I mean, my initial thoughts around those races were, well, you know, these are stronger dogs, better dogs across the board than ones that she can give a bit of a start. But let's have a look at her here at Sandown, and the Bold Trees was going to be the key race for her at Group 1 level. It looked winnable without Tornado Tears and Rippin' Sam, but that was her in the blue rug. She got shut out of a gap at the first bend, and then she's trying to run past a series of, you know, pretty handy dogs. I mean, granted, the two best stayers in the country weren't there. Of course, Rob Britton still ended up winning it with Bakali, Andy, but just hard for her to make progress here. Craig said, look, he still felt that she could have made progress around these dogs, and she didn't, so that has to be put down as disappointing. But if you don't try, Andy, you do not succeed.
Oh, you have to have a dig at these races, especially where the money's at. And speaking to Craig, she's going to be on the plane home next week, so we will see her back around here, and it's pretty easy to see her bouncing back into winning form once she does come back to the side of the Tasman. On Friday night, as I touched on, we do see the heats of both the Group 1 Spion Rose and the Group 2 Dash for Cash. We'll get things underway by having a bit of a chat through the Spion Rose heats, kicking off with heat number 1. This will be race number 7 on Friday evening. It's due to go at 7:04 p.m. New Zealand Cup victor Bago Bye-Bye goes around in this, and obviously Avenger Bale for the Roberts team. Rozzo, Bago Bye-Bye, first look at Wanganui, but he does look awfully hard to beat after his win in the New Zealand Cup.
Well, he's been stunning, hasn't he, at Addington Raceway, and we got a Quality Cup final this year, and I thought he was incredibly professional for a relatively inexperienced dog here in the red rug. Yep, sure, he got the draw, no doubt, but that's Blazon Carter burning to the lead. Penny Mac just clipping the heels of the leader at that point. Bago Bye-Bye had options here, and he chose the right option. We see Dinah Dave in the blue rug, who swings wide, turning for home when he makes his run. Bago Bye-Bye could have made a mistake here, Andy, but he didn't. And I guess we've got a hope, or the connection certainly, in Dave and Jean Fahey, that he brings that head, if you like, to Hattrick Raceway. I'm going to put a question back on you. You see a bit of this dog in the flesh. How do you think he'll take to Hattrick? It is a different track. It's 520 metres. It's a two-turn track, but it is different to Addington.
It's just a completely different beast to Addington. There's an outside fence, there's no camber, and it's just miles different. I think he's got a brain enough on him to handle it, though. He had a few starts in Australia, so he's used to other tracks, apart from Addington. But yeah, it's always hard going to Wanganui first up, so he's going to be relying on a little bit of luck into that first turn, especially if he doesn't pick the jump as good as he has lately at Addington. Another southerner up from down here is Avenger Bale. He comes up with box number 8, which probably suits him down the ground. This is him winning at Wanganui off box number 7. Rozzo, from box 8, you'd expect this bloke to stay out of trouble, and we know how strong he is if he can get a run at them.
Yeah, this is the Amazing Chase Consolation, and it was quite a nice race. As Waitoa in this race, who dashes home for second, takes ground off Avenger Bale, highlighting the potential that she has. She's a restricted age bitch at this stage, and ran second on Monday at Manawatu. He took a couple of starts kind of to get used to Wanganui, I guess, Andy, and of course he went over the 755 Extreme Trip too, where he actually ran very well until he was just bumped off balance turning for home. So he's got that advantage at least of having a handful of starts around there and a couple of wins and running around that 30-second mark. He goes there in pretty solid form. He reeled off that 17:12 opening sprint sectional in the Sockburn Cup, which he lasted to win by a narrowing margin. So I think he looks a threat there. Ask King Jeff's in box number 6, and you know, he can actually get off the lids okay. He's not searing early, but he could be an issue for Avenger Bale early. And possibly the most interesting thing here, Andy, about this race is Fair Dodger drawn box number 1, because here is a dog who does like to come off the rail, and he's done lots of good things for Mark and Nicola Goodyear. He's a really nice young dog. This is him in the red rug though, and watch him as a dog comes across him, and he wants to bore out, and he wants to bore out, and he wants to bore out a bit more, and then he wants to bore out a bit more. And then actually not long after that, he falls in that race. Now in a sprint where he had box number 1 and ran second, he ran out wide and actually bumped Hard Merch, and Hard Merch is a wide runner. And Hard Merch was trying to hold his line centre track, and Fair Dodger got him. So there's a couple of issues for the dogs in there as well, Andy, that could make life interesting to that first bend.
Heat number 2 for this Beyond Rose will be race number 8 on the card. This one due to go at 7:35. Here we get to see Dinah Dave going around for Craig Roberts. We get to see White Tohi, who we just saw in that video running second in behind Avenger Bale. We also see Blazin' Audrey, who was a victor on New Zealand Cup night. We're going to take you back to have a look at Dinah Dave. This is him winning at Wanganui off box number 5. 29 and 99 he clocked on this occasion. And Rozzo, this was a pretty big win.
Probably the most interesting thing about this particular win, Andy, was the dog in front is Big Time Levi. Now, you don't see many dogs run down Big Time Levi, let alone give him 5 or 6 lengths. Dinah Dave's run home was astonishing. It was 11.55 off the front, and he has picked up a handful of lengths on Big Time Levi, who's beaten the others by a margin. It's a Group 2 winner there, Big Time Levi, and a very talented dog. So that's the ability that Dinah Dave has. And of course, Andy, we just saw him in that run where we were highlighting Bago Bye Bye winning the New Zealand Cup, and Dinah Dave, as we mentioned in the review, was an enormous run. So he comes here in pretty good shape, and to a track that he's been at and been able to produce that. So again, he just needs to get it right 2 weeks in a row on foreign soil.
He certainly knows where he is. Again, though, Rozzo, the key to this race could be the dog in box number 1. Again, a dog that likes to get away from the rail, and we're speaking, of course, of Kiwi Gal.
Yes, exactly. Here she is in box number 1 and easing out and bumping a dog or 2 on her outside there on Sunday from box number 1. She ends up running that bend not too badly there, but yeah, it's not the ideal again for the dogs in this. For Dinah Dave, actually a fairly average beginning would be quite nice, and sort of ducking to the rail. Blazin' Audrey, who won the Cup Consolations in this heat as well. I see it being very competitive, and so it really is going to be probably luck around that first bend, and Kiwi Gal, Andy, yeah, could have a big say in that.
Heat number 3 for the Spion Rose will be race number 9 on Friday evening. This one due to go at 8:02. This heat we get to see Blazin' Carter, who adds a lot of interest, Idle Tom, Dinah Monty, and Diddley, who's been in pretty good form, barring the last start where he was actually good after he did miss the start. We're going to take you back to have a look at Blazin' Carter. This isn't running second off box number 6, Rozzo, and he appeared to have his chance up the straight.
He's had 3 runs at hat-trick in a row. And we've just watched them here because there's 4 dogs. Now, Blazing Audrey's in the white rug. She's in the previous heat, as I mentioned. And Blazing Carter, the brother, is 4 wide here. Now, Big Time Caleb holds up the inside in the black and white. It's a wee bit hard there as they run behind the box. Of course, we've got the wire rope lure there as well, which will be different for some of the visitors too. So Caleb leads down the back. Blazing Carter starts to try and close him off. Blazing Audrey's trying to get around the outside. Again, both Blazing dogs sort of leaning on other dogs in the straight here, which they have done a couple of times at Hat-Trick Raceway. At the moment, Andy, I would be more confident about Blazin' Carter at Addington than at Hat-Trick, which doesn't kind of make much sense, but he was so good at finding the front in 3 really quick opening splits at Addington, and he needs to reproduce what he was doing early at Hat-Trick, because as I say, his last 3 efforts at Hat-Trick have all had question marks around them. Look, they still ran 30-12 and he still nearly won. But it's hard to be that confident about him at the moment on that run. I thought he'd come back from the Cup at Addington and maybe just absolutely deal to them like Sir Dougie did in the sprint, but he didn't.
Another dog who has really come of age of late is Diddley. Comes up with a rough draw here in box number 7, but gee, Rozzo, he's really come of age. His win down here at Christchurch was in quick time. He then went back to Wanganui and won in best of the day 30.07, and Monday he was pretty good off a slow beginning.
Yes, and that was him off box number 6, and he kind of angles across and finds the lead. He wins in 30.07 there, which is a very tidy time, of course. It was faster than the top graders. He was excellent at Addington, won in good time downs there. He's posted nice times at Manawatu. I just think he finds the right sort of heat here. And look, he can't afford to sort of bomb from 7, which he has done sort of a few starts back before he started that run of wins. He did. He was slow out and got checked in the back straight. But he can get out and run a pretty even first sectional. He's got Idle Tom inside him, who's not known for early speed. Clearly the speed closer in with Blazing Carter, and Big Time Levi isn't the quickest beginner, but he can hang out a bit. Quistis Bale in the 1's not a natural box 1 dog either, so again. But I think Diddley draws the right sort of heat to be a competitive here and maybe qualify for the final. He is backing up from Monday, and it was a very testing track there. And Andy, it's going to be interesting to see just how well dogs back up out of Monday, because the track was safe and it was fine for racing, but it was very hard work.
8:32 on Friday evening, we'll see the 4th and final heat. This will be race number 10. This one we get to see Zoo Star, Nature's Gent, Penny Mac, and a pretty promising up-and-comer in the form of Puzzle Tin. We will take you back to Penny Mac. Now, Rozzo, this is him in the Amazing Chase, off the inside draw, and he does the split straight away. The only good thing to come out of this is he has had a look around Wanganui now, and we know how fast this fella is when he times the jump.
And I was amazed, Andy, with the way that he started there, and he did, come away with a groin injury after that, as you'd expect, but how well he went after that. I mean, okay, there's adrenaline pumping, he's chasing a dog, but I thought he did extremely well after that. This track should suit Penny Mac down to the ground. Obviously, I was with him through the Cup Series, and I thought he did very well there. In the final, he got up on heels a bit and he got bumped tuning for home, but he was never going to be a winning chance after the start. But look how badly he went down there. It was classed as a fall. But I thought he went particularly well afterwards, and gives me confidence that he will really handle this. He gets the right heat here, I think, Andy. I think he could really turn it on at Hattrick, and I think things go his way. He could really run some serious time around Hattrick Raceway.
Pretty promising up-and-comer from the Gene and Dave Fahey team is Puzzle Tin. We get to see him go around in this as well. This is him running second off box number 1. He was second to Blazin' Audrey on this occasion. Rozzo, pretty handy run from a young dog. Again, he might be 12 months away from these kind of races, but he's certainly pretty happy, and he's a promising dog heading towards derbies and Waikato Classics and those restricted age races.
Absolutely, Andy. We're kind of highlighting him for the future, but I thought he was pretty good here. I mean, the money just kept pouring in for him, which was extraordinary, and Blazing Audrey went out well over the odds, but nonetheless, he ran a race. He's beaten some other good dogs there very comfortably, and they've run a time just a fraction slower than the New Zealand Cup. So an excellent effort from Puzzle Tin, and I think he gets the right heat to possibly be a chance. Nature's Jensen there, of course, who was third last year. Andy, $4 favourite, Bago Bye Bye, Dinah Dave and Penny Mac at 5, Blazing Carter $7.50. Then we go out to 14s at Avenger Bale. There's a top 3 option as well, so I think people might be able to find some value in there as well if they want to have a pick through.
Yeah, pretty interesting little field. Bago Bye Bye obviously deserves his spotter's favourite there, but he is first up at Wanganui, which is always a bit of a concern, so perhaps a little bit of money there around dogs like Avenger Bale and Dinah Dave, Penny Mac, those type of dogs that have already seen Wanganui. We're going to head to a quick break here on DogZone. On the other side, we'll have a bit of a pick through the Dash for Cash.
Racing. Thrilling Talk out powerfully. Out fast two. Kiwi Dell wants to race it early. Getting handy Cameo Sid. Sassy Little Lassie up the inside. Going wide though. Took out Ginger Might. Into the back they run. Thrilling Talk led the way. Up on the outside Cameo Sid. Into third is Vikings then Kiwi Dell. A length away then to Ginger Flash. Getting dragged down a bit. Rambling on. Ginger Might's well back with Sassy Little Lassie up to the turn. Thrilling Talk's got a fight on its hands. Round the outside of them is Cameo Sid. Up the inside Thrilling Talk, but Cameo Sid ends the run. Cameo Sid, Thrilling Talk.
That was Cameo Sid winning a New Zealand Racing Series final at Auckland. What was more special about it, Rozzo, was that gave John Roberts 1,000 wins as an owner, and that's some pretty amazing feat.
It certainly is, isn't it? Craig Grendel has managed to do it, and he's been part of some of the syndicates with John Roberts too, of course, and obviously people like John McInerney with a number of the dogs that he's owned over the years and the thousands upon thousands of winners that he has trained, and others in the industry too. John Roberts is the president of the Auckland Greyhound Racing Club, been part of a number of syndicates, owned some really good dogs. Now he won one race with Joe Topiki, I believe, back in the 90s, then 999 with Ben Craig, making up the 1,000 with Cameo Sid there. Really nice dog who could have gone to the New Zealand Cup. They decided not to head down there with him, but he's won a nice race there and beaten Thrilling Talk and ended that dog's winning streak at 11. Now with John Roberts, he got his 1,000th with Ben Craig on Monday with Amarini in a heat of the New Zealand Racing Series novice there, and Amarini is now 6 from 6, and Andy, that is a super young dog who we may get to see in the program next week if he goes through and wins the New Zealand Racing Series final, because on Monday on the testing track he ran a fraction faster than Ask King Jeff, who's an $18 shot for the Group 1 Spion Rose.
He's a pretty special young animal, was Amarini, and he just gets it right early as well. He's pretty reliable. He picks the jump and he wins his races from near the lead. So he's certainly a dog with a big future with that speed he does have. So on Friday evening, we will also see heats of the Group 2 Dash for Cash. We have 4 heats going around here. The first of these will be race number 3 on the card. Here's a look at the futures market for it. Sir Dougie, $3. She's a Ripper, $4. Rozzo, they certainly deserve to be at the top of this betting order.
They do, Andy, and I think $3, I think the bookies are giving you a chance here. Look, I know he's got to win across 2 weeks, Sir Dougie, and occasionally he can stand there and miss it, but he was so dominant last week. He was so good in the Galaxy. $3 there. Look, I think that's fine. If you've got a dog like Kath Lee at $10 who's just come out of a Class 3 win, and, you know, recent wins at Hattrick, they've been okay. I think Sir Dougie is pretty reasonable money there, and she's a ripper if you want backup too, for that matter. It's yeah, with Kath Lee sitting there at $10, I think that injects a little bit of value into the 2 favourites.
Heat number 1 for the Dash for Cash will be race number 3 on Friday evening. This is due to go at 5:06. In this, we get to see She's a Ripper going around, and she was, of course, second to the favourite in the Galaxy down here in Christchurch. Comes up with a good draw for her first look at Wanganui. This is her running second off box number 6 in the Galaxy. Sir Dougie off the inside. Rozzo, this was a really good race to watch. I think the draw ended up winning the race for Dougie. Potentially, you reverse the draws, you reverse the order they finish.
Yeah, well, look, it was you can't take anything away from Sir Dougie, clearly, and we have lauded him for winning this. And She's a Ripper, hasn't been far back there, as you say. She was the first one we saw. And yeah, she'd had box 1 there and, you know, made a reasonable beginning. Obviously, she would have been very hard to beat. And subsequently, Andy, she's gone away and won at Addington in sub-17, so she's going to come to Hattrick very well. Question for her again, though, is, you know, how well she picks the jump first up at Hattrick, and there's those question marks around there, whereas we know exactly what Sir Dougie can do.
And he goes around in heat number 2. This will be race 4 on Friday evening, 5:34. This one gets underway. He comes up with box number 7. He's in scintillating form. Platinum Marshall up for Craig Roberts. Idle Nifty, a handy young dog for Marcy Flip. But Sir Dougie is in absolutely unbelievable form. He won the Group 1 Galaxy down here in Christchurch. And then Rozzo, he came back to Wanganui. And this is what he did off box 6.
And we're going to just pause this too, Andy, because look at this. Look at the margin he's put on Corborn Meza. Now, while Sir Dougie was down at Addington, Corborn Meza was leading up and beating the open grade races up there. Look at the margin he has put on her, and she's jumped well and she's racing out of her skin. I know she's 4 years old now. Some trouble in behind for dogs like Big Time Blackie there and Big Time Eve, but 661 that came up at. Now, I think he'd run 678 at one point. I said, well, that's just phenomenal. You run sub 680, that's just incredible. When Allegro Gun broke the record, he was sub 680, but apart from him and Dougie, it just doesn't happen. 661. Now, I would have said to you, if I hadn't seen that race and I'd seen the result, I would have said, well, that's a typo. It's supposed to be 681. But then when you look at that and see the margin that he put on some fast dogs, and as I say, the dog that's been leading the Class 5 races, 661 it was. He keeps doing that. Well, they won't beat him because his overall time was incredibly fast as well. Will he do it 2 weeks in a row? Well, that's what we've got to gamble on. I suppose he can occasionally miss it. But from what I saw at Addington, Andy, I'm not even sure I'd be as concerned as I was in the past when he's jumped in the midfield. He could actually just burn back into the race anyway. So, as I say, I think $3 might not be bad money.
Race number 5 on the card will be heat number 3. This one due to get underway at 6:04. In this we see To The Nail travelling up for Team Fahey. Blitzum Rennie, who's been in good form around Auckland, travelling down for Jared Udy and Denise Cottam. And then some of the locals there, Smash Charger, Idle Hot and Big Time Tears, possibly the interesting runner, dropping back to the sprint journey. Blitzum Rennie has been in good form. This is her winning at Auckland off box number 7. Rozzo, she wins her races early. She's got early speed. She comes up with a wide draw, which suits her running style. And in clear air, she looks pretty tough to roll.
Yes, and she's got a great record at hat-trick too, Andy, and she knows how to win there, and okay, is up through the grades, and this is different when you get to the Class 5s and you're up against, like, you got To The Nail on one side and Big Time Tears the other. And just on her, Andy, as you mentioned her, she's coming back from a season and you'd think she's pretty capable of something pretty sharp first up, and Group 1 winner on the track, of course, over the middle distance. So this is a nice field, but I'd love to see Jared Udy and Denise Cottam get some money here, be it in this or the Spion Rose, given the effort and time that they put into contesting anyway the early rounds of the Cup and Galaxy.
The fourth and final heat of the Dash for Cash will be race number 6 on the card. Mila for Angela Turnwald comes up with box number 1 here. Kath Lee with box 6. No Time To Lose, back from a spell, has come up with box number 7, and again an informed Northerner in Thrilling Katie comes up with box number 8. Kath Lee is the greyhound we will take you back to look at. This is her winning at Wanganui off box number 5. Rozzo, she's been in scintillating form of late since coming back from that indiscretion. Potentially, she's been picking the jump a little bit better at the Manawa too, though, so that lack of early speed here at Wanganui, a little bit of a question mark at the top level.
Yeah, and Andy, look at Missing Allegro getting within half a length of her. Missing Allegro's a nice dog, but she's struggling to win these days. Missing Allegro's got within half a length. Look, Kathleen did well there off a moderate beginning. The hat-trick win before that, Andy, was in 1790 odd, beating Big Time Boy. And Big Time Boy's not even a favourite today in a Class 1 sprint. She is, look, I don't want to knock Kathleen because she's providing us with a lot of entertainment and fun coming through the grades, but I just don't see her as a $10 shot in this series. I really don't. I know she's 3 from 3 there. She did re-qualify in a 1756, so she's got that in her, but that was in a 4-dog field, and 1756 isn't going to win the Dash for Cash, you wouldn't think. Hypocritical won last year, of course, and they didn't run that fast, but One Cold Foot broke down, sadly, went in front. And great to see Hypocritical back in this year's series as well, because as we know, 12 months is a long time. But Andy, if there was a dog I'm going to lay at the price here in this series, it absolutely is Kathleen.
Yeah, she probably is a little bit short of that $10 quote, as you touched on. It's a little bit tougher for her here, and especially with her kennel mate drawn to her outside, No Time To Lose, who does like to cut towards the rail as well. So she is going to have to be on top of her game to get the job done here. Well, that's about all we have time for here on DogZone today. Rozzo, thank you once again for your input. And, of course, we haven't had time to touch on the Melbourne Cup that was run last week over in Australia. My Redeemer taking that out, and, gee, he was impressive in that as well.
He was, and he's a younger half-brother to Uphill Jill, who's been outstanding for the same kennel, David Gill, in recent times. Third in that race was a dog called She's Gifted, who was out of Big Gift, who ran second in the Dash for Cash about 7 years ago when trained by the Paul Freeman, Angela Turnwald team. Just on No Time To Lose, the last dog you mentioned there too, Andy. She's back from a season, if people are wondering, and she could turn it on early too. So thoroughly looking forward to Friday. 4 heats of each, which is terrific. Straight final for the New Zealand Racing Series 755 metre race. That'll be the following week. with the Spion Rose final and the Dash for Cash final and that distance for which they got 9 nominations, that'll be a cracking card.
It certainly will be. Just on the Melbourne Cup, if you want a more in-depth review of that, then you can catch up with the Catching Pen, the Australian form of DogZone. And if you want to watch that, check your trackside times or guide for times of when that will be playing throughout the week. That's it from us here on DogZone. We'll be back next time with more reviews and previews of greyhound racing from around the country. But until then, happy punting.
Got me running in circles around you to please, yeah, I do what I need to. So pardon my manners, just something about you turns me to a savage.